And we're back for episode 11 of the Natty Bodybuilding Radio Podcast. Changes every week.
On the live wire, on the wireless.
Like, subscribe, share that. Can you share it? Yeah, you can share this with your friends.
Of course you can.
Send them in their WhatsApp.
Please do. Please do the shares and the likes and all them things. Thanks to everybody that watched the first edition of Natty Muscle Radio presents Saved by the Dumbbell.
Yep. Success. Second biggest viewed podcast of all time. From ours, I mean.
From our channel.
From us.
But we can...
Joe Rogan, so we're not moving to Spotify, so don't worry about it.
You wait till that $100 million Spotify contract comes in.
They reckon, conspiracy theories. They reckon that it's more like 200 million.
Why would they? Okay, why would they do that? Why would they not?
Playing it down, but very smart move on his part. So if you end up having to go to Spotify to watch our podcast, you know what's happened.
Yeah. So is it going to be videos on Spotify? Are you going to be able to watch it?
So they are basically doing that purely as the platform to watch that on. And the guy who does the bodybuilding podcast, the guy who does the entrepreneurial stuff, the really smart guy.
Patrick David or something like that.
Yeah. He did a really good little video on it, and basically Spotify have like quadrupled their money already.
Yeah, I know they made money on it, yeah.
It's like they've it's ridiculous. I can't remember the actual figures, but basically made like 4 billion or something stupid from the fact that they've done that because of the way that he would show like the stocks and everything on the market, like stock markets and stuff. So they would be. He was talking about basically that Joe Rogan's agent would have been going between like YouTube and saying, "You want to keep Joe Rogan?" and then maybe going to Apple and say, "Do you want to keep Joe Rogan? And if not, this is what's going to happen." And then basically from them doing that, they'll probably like not all asked for it. It doesn't matter. But
yeah.
Obviously then Spotify are then gonna be able to obviously not. They don't. Without rambling on it's all to do with the fact that obviously YouTube have so much control over the content of what goes out.
Right.
Basically, so he can say whatever he wants on Spotify.
Okay.
He's not an employee of Spotify. He is just a platform where they launch a podcast.
Okay, so it might become better podcasts then now that.
Yeah, and they'll be able to show videos of other things and.
It's like if we weren't trying to be PC. It's like if we actually released the first 5 minutes before we pressed record.
Everyone would hate us.
Everybody would.
Dislike.
Yeah, please. So thank you for everybody that watched that. Likes and views are still going up, mostly probably because now not only is it our friends, it's James and Marcus's friends as well. So that's why there's more views. But thank you to James and Marcus also for joining us on that episode. General consensus was it's a great episode, but me and you are still funnier, so unlucky. But yeah, we'll be doing that again in the future. But we'll get some new guests, I think, and we'll new topics, new guests, and take it from there.
It's also maybe a little bit unfair as well because I think that. Well, I'd say it's unfair, but it isn't because the very first time that we did it, I think that we were sort of rambling backwards and forwards, and then as soon as you press the hit record button, it's like being on a work conference, and you're sort of like, I don't know what to say now because there was some good little content before that, wasn't it? And I think that you maybe need a few to warm up into it. So we'll definitely have them back on again.
Definitely.
See if they can be any funnier or not, or at least funnier than me and you, but it's probably going to happen. So.
We get funnier as it goes on, really, isn't it? Every podcast has an increased funniness. I'd like to watch the kind of when we get the 100 million Spotify contract. Watch NMR episode 1. Yeah. And I'll see the 50-minute. Actually, if you look 50-minute version NMR episode 1, and we thought that was a long podcast, and now we're getting into one hour 20 minutes, and we're like, probably wrap it up, eh?
What do you think? When you listen to stuff, what Are you disappointed if it's just an hour?
I'm pretty happy if I last an hour. But I guess we're talking about podcasts. Yeah.
Well, like if I listen to Heavy Muscle Radio, then I'm gutted if it's only an hour.
Yeah,
it's just over already. It's like one walk. So wait a week for one walk.
Well, I noticed as well. Each of our videos average viewing time is 20 minutes. But they get viewed throughout. It's just
20 minutes. Oh, fuck this. This is rubbish.
Well, unless I'm going on a walk and doing cardio, which I'm not doing a lot of right now. Or if I am walking, I'm walking with Kyra, so I'm not stood listening to a podcast when I'm walking, because that'd be a move, wouldn't it? But I'll listen to a podcast maybe in 20, 30-minute bursts and then come back to it. So it's, if I'm watching I've been catching up on a lot of Fuad stuff. So he's been having different guests on Bodybuilding in Bollocks now. You should watch it, Sergio and Guy, on the recent.
Yeah, I'm halfway through it. So
I'm not watching that in a 3-hour stint. I'm watching that in 20, 30-minute bursts.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm kind of getting at, is the fact that I'm going out to do cardio. I don't have to like sift through stuff, because I rarely will plan what I'm going to listen to before I walk. I'll literally just go out, have my phone in my hand, and then all of a sudden just go right YouTube quickly, and then boom, because all the stuff comes up recommended. Yeah. But yeah, it's like if I listen to an episode of Heavy Muscle Radio and it's like 55 minutes long or something, I'm like, I've got to wait another whole week to listen to it again. So I'm sure that's how people feel with us. So it's got to at least be over an hour.
Oh, don't worry, we'll be over an hour. Crying out loud, we can't keep it on the now. But that's a quality episode. That it's great just having Guy Sistanino just being angry about everything, Sergio just being chilled out about everything, and Fuad Abiyad just kind of like poking the fire a little bit every now and again, just winding them up.
The guy's such a typical New Yorker, isn't he? If you could stereotype a New Yorker, that's what he'd be like.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, have you seen the episode of Family Guy where all the New Yorkers turn up at a funeral and all start like,
it's been too long.
I'm going to pay my respects. No, I'm going to pay my respects, and start fighting with each other.
You can't win with him either. There's a bit where they start debating, and he's like, I'm going to win. It doesn't matter what your point is, but I'm going to win. And it's like, well, that's a great way to start a debate, isn't it?
It is good. But yes, that is a good little podcast to listen to for sure. There's been debates this week whether they should retire the bodybuilding and bollocks because of obviously Luke, and they should just keep it going. Personally, I think they should just keep it going as is.
I like what they're doing, having different people. I'd like Guy Sistanino's been on a lot of podcasts this past couple of weeks, and I like watching his IG as well. But he's more funny on the podcast. He gets a bit angry and serious on his own Instagram. On podcasts, he's quite funny. So I'd like him to be a fixture on. Maybe we could get him on this.
Oh yeah, of course. To pretend it's something for doing for Gasp, because no one is different.
No. Look, you can reach out to him and go, sorry, did you not know that I was bodybuilding royalty?
Yeah, I could do.
Yeah.
I could do. I wonder where I fall within that hierarchy.
Across all bodybuilding?
Yeah, well, bodybuilding, of Natty bodybuilding hierarchy of royalty and what constitutes as royalty. Like, who's like Prince William, and then who's like the paedophile guy? Prince Andrew.
Shock.
If you would like to fill this space, please feel free to come forward.
Right. So, no, really. Are we talking? Are we talking actual winning things, or just having an air of?
Just when I turn up to a show with an entourage of
small people.
Small people.
That's all it is. I said this to Edgy's housemate. He's not much taller than myself and Edgy, but
you're not.
He's like 5'8" or something, 7. Like what an average height. What Aeronn has been doing since 1988 is making average height people feel tall. And so that's why you have a sort of like Pied Piper style group of people around you at shows that are all
the Natty Muscle Radio meme coming with the Pied Piper and a group of rats.
5'8" 5'2" and under groupies, and everyone goes, "Isn't Rob really bald? Tall, not bald, because optimal hair." But yeah, so other people on the I guess we could call it the Mount Rushmore of natural bodybuilding, if you like.
Bodybuilding royalty, brilliant. I love it. And then you go to like a UK BFF show or a PCA show, and then you're a nobody again. Never mind.
Yeah.
But climbing the hierarchy.
Yeah. Well, I still think that you should have won that PCA show. That's just me. I had you in first. I think Jordan Peters had you in first as well, didn't he? He was having a quite good time.
Just saying.
Best physique of the day.
Well, an array of drinks with me tonight. Have you got an array of drinks with you?
Blonde roast.
Okay, so I've just had my Guinness. Well, it was a coffee.
Oh.
I've got the best canteen bowl since Gary Wilmot's weighed in.
Nice. That's fucking huge.
It's a 1.5 litre canteen because prep.
Right, we got this.
Only a 750, mate, is it?
Sorry, yeah. Shout out to Eugene Health for testing for coronavirus and all that fun stuff. That's all I got. Yeah.
Around the office. Share your own around the office.
Yeah, with the same ball.
Yeah, yes.
Everyone with the same ball. We were all getting tested the other day. I've not been tested yet, but everyone was like, "That's horrific," because the swab is taken from here.
Why?
So the swab goes up your nose, keeps going, and then they use the same swab and put it in your mouth. So
yes,
unlucky.
In your brain.
Pretty much in your brain.
Might be hollow up there for sure. If they weren't there, for sure.
Depends what time of prep, isn't it? Really.
Anyway, back to my canteen.
Sorry.
It's filled with the bodybuilding version of Crystal Light.
I thought Crystal Light was a bodybuilding drink. It's not a bodybuilding drink, but it is.
It is, but it's just based on anyone who, like, you could have someone over there who's like, I would say vegan, but that'd be a stretch. Maybe vegetarian, or maybe diet conscious, or maybe hasn't had a carb since 1994. So that's what they use over there as their calorie-free drinks, just little sachets.
Yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know what Crystal Light is, it's basically like a BCA supplement, but it's not BCA. It's
not BCA.
Basically fiber and sweeteners.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah.
So back to my canteen.
Yeah.
Filled with Bolero this week.
So that's the bodybuilding Crystal Light.
Bodybuilding Crystal Light. There was a guy who was on a podcast with Think Big Bodybuilding the other week.
Oh yeah.
Alessandro, I want to say.
Oh yes.
Right.
I know.
The owner of Bolero. And when he said we've got 152 flavors of this drink, I was like, I'm going to have to at least try one of them. And they're all iced teas. I don't work for them. I'm not plugging them, but it's brilliant. It's changed my life.
Really?
It's mango and passion fruit flavor. Claire absolutely laps it up.
Brilliant.
And so do I. And so that's made with ice in the canteen. So
if you can follow the link now.
Follow the link for Bolero.
Use code Rob.
Yeah.
Nothing will happen. You'll get an error message. It says discount code is not valid. Just buy it anyway, and that'll be fine.
But anyway, so Dolphin Fitness does them. You can usually find some of them that are on like the going out of date shelf, which are like £1 or something.
Oh, okay, nice. Well, there's a question for you. Other foods that aren't bodybuilding foods that are bodybuilding foods. So, example, Ezekiel bread. That's definitely not made for bodybuilders.
No, it isn't. But seems to be
it's
the
definitely a bodybuilding food.
Choice of champions, Mr. J Cutler.
Yeah.
Anyway, third drink in is obviously a regulation Pepsi Max.
Okay. Ginger today? Sponsored by Dan North or no?
Nope, this week.
No, your Coke, is it a ginger Pepsi Max? No.
No. It's just a regulation Pepsi.
Okay. Let's see.
Which is disappointing, really, because I'm kind of a fan of cherry and a fan of ginger, but can't seem to find any good ginger Pepsi Max in the stores currently. So, I've currently just done 2 high days.
Oh.
and I've never been so hot in all my life. You know, you've had a really good amount of food, and all of a sudden you've gone from death warmed up to, I just want to walk around in pants because I'm that hot.
Yeah.
So if my face gets any more redder during this, it's because I'm warm. Claire needs the heating on.
Did training cool you down before in the rain?
It did a little bit, yes. It was kind of, I would say there's a story behind it, but there's not really. It's just the fact that when I got up and I'd had my breakfast, I was so intent on training and it was drizzling. And I thought, well, I've trained up there in the drizzle before. And then as I finished my pre-workout and took the last sip, it absolutely hammered it down. And then there was no going back. It was like turning up to the gym and you've had your pre-workout and it's closed.
Yeah, no, you're just doing press-ups outside at that point, aren't you? It's
horrendous. So so I thought, well, no, I'm just going to go and see what I can do. And then, as soon as I wiped the bar and then turn around to put the towel down, it was wet again.
Nice.
I just had to make do, basically.
You need a gazebo then, as I suggested.
I don't think it's worth the investment, even if it only costs like a tenner, because the gym will be open next month.
Okay, good. Well, funny you mentioned the gym being open next month. Maybe, possibly. We don't know anything that anybody else knows.
Everyone's founded around 4th of July, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which is going to become our Independence Day. Screw America. It's going to become our Independence Day because
my life, yeah.
Gym's coming back.
Yeah, I hope so. Then it's looking like they are laying out lots of ways and means of doing it, and that if it is the case, it probably won't be. It will be with some restrictions, I would imagine. Social distancing and all that fun stuff.
No spotting.
No spotting. That I wasn't doing yesterday.
You won't get a spot anyway. So.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to know about that, so we went and trained legs. Where do we train?
Yeah, Evo gym.
And
actually, yeah.
Chris decided to spot me on the 4-plate squat, came down with me and just let me fail. So shit. Cheers for that, Chris. So
you did go back and get it though, right?
Yeah.
Forced you to go back and get it.
Winners find a way.
Yeah. Train in the rain or doing your set again, really. So we are going to talk about how we should get back to training. But Cara reminded me of something. We had Cheesy Nut Gate the other week, did we not? Well, Cara reminded me of an event in my life I'm proud of to this day. Cara shed a tear at the time, I think. But it made me want to ask another question. There's different ways you could go with it. It's I want to know a time that you went to an extreme length to eat a meal that you were really desperate for. So I'll give you context, and please comment and make Instagram stories, comments on the YouTube if you've had something similar or something that can be relatable to it. So not long after me and Cara got together, so some 11 years ago now, and we used to enjoy a meal out. We used to go to the local Wetherspoons a couple of times a day and order a mixed grill and such. I made some
protein. Why not?
Yeah. I made some early gains at that time. Lots of waistline gains as well, as you can imagine. But there was a time when I had bought myself a Subway, and I would imagine it was a meatball marinara, because why would you not? I mean, if you go Subway and get anything other than a meatball marinara, then you don't know how to buy a Subway. Yeah, it's not impossible. So we were going past the local Wetherspoons, actually, and in my small town of Widnes, you get some louts outside having a cigarette outside the pub, and it was and Cara reminds you, it was National Beer Day. It was like a German beer festival at this Wetherspoon.
Yes.
And we walked past and I proceeded to drop my meatball marinara all over the floor.
Oh no, shit.
Oh no, is what you think. And you think, oh no, Aeronn losing the gains. And what was he going to do? Was he going to go and spy another one? Was he just going to leave it and eat at home? He was not going to do that. he picked it up off the floor. And he pieced back together the meatball marinara, and to the amusement of the louts outside the German Beer Festival, they thought it was hilarious that the little, small, short, chubby 5'2" guy was piecing together his meatball marinara because he didn't want to lose the gains.
What did they say?
I can't remember exactly what they said, but they were...
My response for it, well, I won't let you go on finish the story.
Well, they were making what I can only describe as fat slurs towards me. And I wasn't bothered because I was all about that bulk life. Cara was a little bit upset. We'd not been together that long, and I put her through quite an ordeal where she had a fat boyfriend picking up her Subway outside of the local pub. But we're still here to this day. So that's kind of an example of a time that I went to an extreme length to get the gains, really, with a meal. I was just wondering if you had anything similar.
Well, my response, first of all, would have been, it's fucking 3-second rule, all right? So
right.
Don't wind your necks in, all right? Because 3-second rule.
Probably.
So Claire will remember well, if she's listening, about the time I threw a tantrum at Christmas because they'd run out of mince pies at the local Lidl.
Oh.
Now, the reason why this came about is because channel, think it was on, what's the food program? Saturday Morning Kitchen.
Right.
We did a mince pie review. And coming in at number 1 was the Snowy Lodge mince pies from Lidl.
Snowy Lodge?
Snowy Lodge mince pies. Pack of 6, mediumly priced to low price for what you get, compared to like an £8 mince pie from Marks and Spencer's, and it was in number 2.
Or T-Bay.
Snowy Lodge had obviously smashed it out of the park, so I was like, right, I'm gonna need one of these.
Classic Snowy Lodge.
So I think what had happened is, because this had been on Saturday Kitchen, the whole of Burton went mental for mince pies. So I went into the Lidl, which is 7 minutes drive from where we are now, and looking everywhere for them. And then I went up to the lady and I was like, have you got any mince pies? Like, it's fucking Christmas, right? She's like, oh, we've only...
say that to her, by the way. Did you say have you got any mince pies? It's fucking Christmas.
Because I was hungry, for one.
Yeah.
And she just said, oh, we've got some of the marzipan ones. That's all we've got. I was like, marzipan mince pies? Are you fucking for real? So I left the shop, came home, was in such a mood that I decided to drive half an hour across town to go to the other Lidl.
Wow.
To find, where I then bought 3 boxes, and it was probably the last 3 boxes. So that was my tan. Then ate a pack of 6 on the way home to make myself feel better. So, and then that it did. So don't ever let, well, 1, the truth get in the way of a good story, and 2, don't ever let anyone try and ruin your gains by telling you that they're just sold out. To go and find a way, because winners will find a way.
Winners find a way. If that's driving an obscene amount of time to find another Lidl to buy the best mince pies, or if that's piecing together your meatball marinara outside Wetherspoons, you've got to do it.
Done.
Got to be done.
It's got to be done.
So have you got any other stories? Have you got any stories?
First of all, I do love story time.
Yeah.
So I like fat story times as well. They're always good.
Fat story. Most of my stories are fat story time. I'm not in shape as much as I'm out of shape, should we say? And yes, and I know I didn't have my top off when I was training at Chris's before, because that would have been a stupid move, wouldn't it? We don't want to be making Chris feel bad for how shredded he is,
Exactly. Well, for anyone who wasn't looking at my phone at the time when I texted Chris. So today I text Chris saying, how you getting on, and how's legs going, and how's shreds or whatever it was. And then you decided to pick up the phone and text back saying not as good as Aeronn. So
funny and factual.
But yeah, funny but true. So So that's why you won't train with your top off. So
no, most definitely not.
everyone else watching the podcast, we still have to remember that no one will have the clue what we're on about because it was just me and you in that conversation. So
sorry, yeah, context. Clearly shouting at you now. Sorry. So anyway, yeah. Well, all right. That brings us nicely round to the fact that this week's topic is how we think people should approach this kind of, I guess, maybe this lead up to getting back to the gym. Maybe, let's say we're a month away, maybe. And then when things do open, how to approach that.
What we should do then is to say what you should do and in reality what everyone's going to do.
Right, okay.
Because that's because it's only advice. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
As the Hodge twins would say.
Right.
Do whatever you want to do. So, but anyway, let's start with you then. So, where obviously it's a bit of a cop out now because you've already got a gym again now.
Well,
Gym Elite.
So actually, it got a name today. Chris's Garage Gym, and we are still social distancing because it's basically training outside with a roof because like we're under a gazebo because the garage door's open. There's only a couple of us. But fortunately, Chris has got a nice little home gym set up. He's got a squat rack with all the cable pulley attachments. He's got a nice amount of dumbbells and some stuff like that. So we're able to train now pretty optimally, which is good. But it's got a name today, and it will now be forever known as the Hobbit Hole.
That's good.
So I've been training for a week now in the Hobbit Hole. And keen viewers will remember that I've had a serious injury during lockdown, which I guess was decent timing because it meant that I couldn't go and re-injure it for a third time because I'd already re-injured it for a second time. So I had kind of approached lockdown anyway with just recovering and just doing little bits to the point actually where a couple of weeks before I was able to go the Hobbit Hole. I actually just started doing superset stuff and just a 30-minute CrossFit-y style pump workout because I thought I want to go back to the gym with nice joints and not elbow tendonitis and all that fun stuff. And then, lo and behold, Hobbit Hole appeared. So I did feel good and went back doing that. So I guess my first session back sort of was what we would recommend people don't do. And I went and did legs, and I mean we were squatting 180 before lockdown ended, I think. So I didn't do that, but got under 140, buried that for 5, which was nice. Then we did the foam roller hacks, and we did the dumbbell hamstring curls, walking lunges, everything. And I couldn't walk for a week. It was like I'd never trained in my life.
Yeah.
But
to point out, isn't it? It's very hard. It's like coming back off holiday and wanting to go back into your workouts. Everything feels really heavy, but you're never going to learn, are you? Because it's just you get too carried away with it, feeling excited for training again.
Felt like Christmas. It really did. Like night before was like Christmas Eve. Woke up early, had me optimal bodybuilding breakfast, watching Jay Cutler, as we do.
Routine.
The optimal Sunday morning routine now, yeah. But but I did still back off on that session because it was less than what we've been doing, and then I kind of followed suit as the week went on actually because I felt really tired then as the week went on. I had to take an extra rest day. I ate a bit more food because I was just pretty. I had a lot of DOMs and stuff like that. But second week starting now, things feel a little bit better, and I feel a little bit like I've not just had a first week back, so that's nice. But I'm treating this.
Sorry, how is your red up?
So today I handled 2 plates aside on a deadlift for the first time since I injured it. So that was a far cry from how I hurt it because that was 5.5 plates aside, so 240. It felt nice.
Body weight, just saying. So
Just saying. But the way I re-injured it was 2 weeks after that, when it felt okay, and I was just barbell rowing, and I had 2 plates aside, like as a warm up, and it kind of went again. So it was nice to hold that weight and feel confident about it. I've been training. The plan is to train back twice, and it'd be very light face pulling and cable stuff with deadlifts thrown in at the end to kind of strengthen it. But that felt nice. Still feels weak and it's in my head a little bit, I must say. But doing that today has alleviated that a little bit. So that's nice. That feels good. And yeah, the plan is to keep doing this for a month. Probably will use the Hobbit Hole quite often, even when gym's open again. Certainly Monday to Friday, because it's got what you need. But when we can get back to gyms again, I've found myself now in a fortunate position where I can use this month to kind of train myself to be able to train in the same way as before we left, really.
Sorry, did you say that you were going to continue training there when the gym is open?
I will use that Monday. I'll join the gym again, but right. Monday to Friday, if Chris is training, we'll still be doing squat Sundays, like Unity and all them things. But Monday to Friday, if I've got the option of the local gym round the corner to me, or the squat rack with just me and Chris, and we can bench press and row and all them things, it's not got the distractions. You play your own music, that kind of thing. So, it's an option. It's definitely an option.
Okay, I will be interested to revisit that after you come back, because, and this is something I've seriously thought about, because I've enjoyed my home training very, very much, especially J Sundays, as we now call it.
J Sundays, yeah.
Have optimal breakfast, make a pre-workout, and walk outside to the gym. Do within an hour, and then go and do all my check-ins and stuff. But I mean, that's just like last weekend was classic, because it was like the sun was out, training temperature was optimal. It was nice to be outside. It was warm, and it just felt really good. And then I didn't have to go anywhere. It's an absolute ball breaker sometimes driving into Burton from ours when there's roadworks. Right. Because there was a time where there was either floods or roadworks, and sometimes could take 40 minutes to get into the gym.
Was that the time when you were late because of the roadworks, and I think Lewis had came from the same direction, and there wasn't roadworks?
Yeah, obviously the roadworks were.
They were. They were on when it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So obviously where it flooded was only just outside my house.
Of course, yeah.
So I had to get a canoe through my car, and then obviously from there. But the reason I say that is I think it's all well and good with every intention. The only way I can describe it is it's like me saying I'm going to do cardio in the off-season. Because I all like having a bit of abs, and I feel really fit, and my joints don't hurt as much. But then when it's like, okay, are we going to get up now at 8 o'clock and on a Sunday morning and then go for a walk, or go downstairs and have a cinnamon raisin bagel before I have my oats? It's going to be a bagel every time.
Yeah.
So I will revisit this conversation with you as well later on, because I believe that once you get a nice little hammer strength machine in your hand, and you've got some tunes pumping, and it's all just like, oh, I've missed the gym. Yeah, we will see.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe we can we won't carry on with it too much, because I think the best thing to do is talk about it when gyms are open again and how we feel about it. The only thing I'd say where it's a little bit different with the Hobbit Hole is that it almost is a gym. And definitely is for me, because I've mentioned it a few times. What I found really hard training at home with is I like going to the gym. I like the the kind of process of going to the gym. What?
Build up.
Yeah, the build up. Like, so the strength nap, and then you get up and you have your coffee and you watch a J video or a gas video or a bodybuilding video, and then you get your gear together and you go to the gym. And you listen to music on the way to the gym. Well, what that had become for me and Cara was we'd be sat on the couch, or I'd be sat at my office and in my home office for work, which is right now in the kitchen. What?
Not my bedroom then, though.
No. Not your bedroom. No, I don't know what you meant there. For anyone that didn't remember, that's Rob's bedroom is the spare room, the cold spare room. But we would. I'd really struggle with Cara go, all right, are we training now? Then is it time to train? I go, yeah, and we'd just walk 1 meter to the living room where we'd train, and there was no setup, and even putting my own music on it just didn't feel the same. Whereas going to the Hobbit Hole is a 20-minute drive, and it has got a rack, and you can do. You are training at a gym, but just not using all the nice hammer strength and stuff like that. So it does lie in between training in your garden. It's not quite the same, but yeah, let's revisit that when gyms are open again and see how we think about it. We've agreed already that Chris and I that it's no replacement for squat Sundays like Unity. You know, the day out, the 30-minute pre-workout, 30-minute post-workout. You know, 5-hour gym session because of how long it takes to warm up your knees. It doesn't replace that, but maybe getting in from work late, having to go to gym, that kind of thing. So yeah, we will see.
And I think that it's all very well and good now, but you know, when that garage is freezing cold, winter, it's dark at 4 o'clock, it'd be really about the home workout life. I think I'll just drive to the gym where it's got a bit of heating.
Yeah.
And there's bodies to keep it a bit warmer.
Keep everybody else warm, yeah. I think you're right, yeah. Well, so that's my own plan. So that's my own plans anyway, is use this month to return to, I guess, the intensity that I had before. And then I'm still mini cutting. I don't want to do that any further than, I kind of like to be done with that by August, really. What?
I don't want to do it any more than £3.
I don't do it at all. Now that I can train with some intensity, I feel like I can get into a groove with it because I kind of found myself a little bit stuck because I didn't want to drop food, but I wasn't training either, so that sucked a little bit. But now that we can train, it's better. But yeah, it'd be nice.
Are you down in weight?
Yeah, 87.5 kilos. So 91 was the max. I would like to be 80, and I think I can hit that now that I've got somewhere to get intensity. So without this being a podcast about my bodybuilding career, the goal is to kind of not really be mini cutting by the time August comes around, and if that means that I can train myself up until then, that's what we'll do in the Hobbit Hole. So yeah. Cool.
Sounds good. But you definitely have to get them a plaque made for the gym with Hobbit Hole on.
Yeah, I know.
That'd be nice.
Thinking a big mural. Yeah.
Yeah. You two spray painting on the wall of you with your Fellowship of the Gains t-shirt.
That's what it might be, actually. Yeah, second best t-shirt. Second best to what will be the Natty Muscle Radio t-shirt of best meme of 2020.
It's going to be such an ordeal.
I know.
Yeah. When did we start the podcast? I know, like probably 11 or 12 weeks ago, but what month was it?
March. Yeah, I'm sure it's March.
Okay, cool. So basically, for my birthday next year, then March 23rd, you have to organise best meme t-shirt awards, or we do it for a Christmas award.
Okay, I think Christmas is good.
Because then we could do it for the year of 2020.
Yeah. And there'll be some good festive, I'm sure there'll be some good festive memes. Mince pie based memes.
Good festive memes, but it's like, I think that because 2020 has been what was supposed to be such a big year for everybody.
Well, it's been a big year.
Sounds like a nice round number. It's going to be a good year to compete. It's all gone to shit from all this. So from Australia burning down and riots and all this kind of stuff. So I believe that, I did actually see a meme that said my 5-year plan is to make it through 2020. So that was quite good. But yes, we will definitely by that point have a selection of good meme t-shirts. I think we maybe just do our top 3 and we'll get them. We'll get 2 made each. So we got a meme, 3 meme t-shirts each.
Yeah. And
then we will give away. We'll do a prize giveaway for thing made to order sizing, and no, you can't return it if it is a maybe just a 2XL then.
2XL. There's no way that these t-shirts are going to be made to order. Either wear a 2XL or you can.
I just read your brain then. Do you see?
All right, yeah. So anyway, not getting off topic. That's what I'm planning to do. How are you going to approach it with? It doesn't really matter what I'm doing because I'm just in an off-season phase anyway, so I can spend as long as I want, kind of getting back into it or whatever. But you've got. I know you're in a good groove now with prep, and you're enjoying. We just said you're enjoying the garden training and stuff like that. What are you going to do when gyms reopen again, and how are you going to approach it?
Okay, so I think that I'm definitely going to have a bit of a week where I go and just have what I call like a holiday workout week.
Right.
Because I would definitely have missed some machines. I've been fortunate enough that I've trained 4 times now in a gym for legs, which has been great. So all I've been able to do is I've been able to pick machines and exercises that don't aggravate my knee because I've got that, what I believe is Osgood Shalatus, which is basically that little nodule below your kneecap that seems to be inflamed, but I've got no swelling there, which is weird. But it's like my knee's going to explode every time I come down the stairs. So all my knee pain has kind of moved from outside of my knee to below my knee, and it's not enough to stop me from working out. That's the thing. So I can still squat to full depth and that kind of stuff, but it takes me a good couple of warm-up sets to get it warm, shall we say, or to even kind of get it so it's kind of pain-free. Anyway, getting off subject. So what I've been able to do is devise kind of a workout plan which kind of works well around that. Well, that happens to be, so leg extensions, normal hack squat, which is the Watson hack squat, which you basically, if anyone's ever used the Atlantis hack squat at Ultraflex gym, probably one of my favorite hack squat machines that I've used, but the Watson one, you're able to crank the hydraulics to get it into a different angle. Yeah. You can either have it really hardcore upright, or you can have it almost lying down, and then you can adjust the foot pad. And I've been doing that with a little foam roller or a pad in behind the back, so it basically puts you forward slightly. And that's been brilliant. So that's been a really nice movement to do. The Dexter Jackson squat machine, which I call it Dexter Jackson one, but it's just a lever row squat machine. Because I was thinking anything I can do which is kind of more top section of quads, as opposed to everything I do is always really far down, like calves to hamstrings kind of thing. And I've been doing some Smith squats slightly differently because my wrist is not great and my shoulders isn't great for squatting at the moment. So
least favourite leg exercise of all time, by the way, Smith squats. Just brutal.
Yeah, they are hard. Annoying, it's so hard, isn't it? So I got up to a decent amount of weight on those last week. But anyway, point is that I've been doing stuff that I wouldn't be able to do at home. Yeah. And I think that I very much enjoyed that when I went back that first week to do that. And so I think that I will go and have a back session where I do all the machines, get it all out of my system, and then I'll probably just go back to my normal barbell-based workouts. But as far as how I'm going to approach training, I think that if I really think about it hard, when I've been on preps in the past, depending where I've trained, because of where I've been in the country due to work, I think that I maybe do choose like one really hard exercise, like a barbell, row, deadlift, whatever, maybe not deadlift, but bench, whatever. And then I will do more pump and fill and drop set stuff to kind of get me through the session if I'm kind of feeling a little bit, how should we say, you're always a little bit more vulnerable when you're that lean, I guess. And that's a worry. So I expect by the time that gym's open, I will be more towards that end of prep. Right. Like I'm sat at about, 83 kilos. 83 kilos. So I reckon another 4 or 5 kilos. When I'm below 80 anyway, that's when everything starts to hurt, I guess, really. Yeah, and then it'll be that back end, which is going to be the issue of basically training around injuries and niggles and what kind of feels good to a certain point,
Yeah.
as opposed to just kind of blunt force, like, you know, I've got to do this and I've got to do that kind of attitude towards training, which I kind of would do more in the off season.
Yeah.
So in the case of preserving muscle at that point, as opposed to trying to basically do everything as hardcore as I can, because it's just not smart, I guess.
I think you can still expose yourself to the load and the intensity. It's just at which point you decide. I guess I like to, a little bit off topic, but what I liked to do last year on prep was, I guess it's pretty much the same as what you just said, really, is have an exercise per workout, whether it be chest, whether it be back or whatever. That is my barometer of strength still, because I think that if I can keep strength as close, you know, to top end throughout prep, and there'll be certain moves that won't change, deadlifts, often squats, you know, relative to the previous off season maybe, and just use that to make sure that everything's still ticking and I'm not, like, my body's not completely nosediving, and then, like I say, after that, you know, just use the rest of the workout to kind of get through it. So, but at the same time, it gets to a point, doesn't it, where if you don't have those, if you can't do those moves, and definitely if you're traveling to different gyms and stuff like that with job, it's just exposing yourself to the weight and load, really, isn't it? So you'll find yourself in a similar situation when gyms open again, because it will be different to what you've been doing in your garden. You know, there'll be different weights, different barbells, different machines and stuff like that. So it's just working out how to put your body under that load and stress, really, isn't it? Without, because I can really see people, and I guess, you know, one of the things we wanted to talk about was how other people should approach it, what to do, what not to do. I've just got this. I can feel people are going to get hurt on machines because they're just not going to remember how to do it properly, and they're going to overload a hammer strength chest press and just tear a pec or something like that. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
isn't it?
It's one of them, isn't it? I think, you know, going back to, like, you know, your prep side, I'd say it definitely isn't something that, like, I don't really change my training as far as I don't think I change my training, but then maybe subconsciously you do. Because, as I said, you maybe choose things which maybe are going to be a bit more better. Like if, for example, my lower back is getting worse towards prep just because you're linear and everything, you're doing a lot of cardio and all that kind of stuff. Like, if it's the difference between after doing either a barbell row or a T-bar row to do something which is going to take my, like, let's say a one-arm row, to do that on a bench instead of doing it normal, I'm going to choose the bench just because to kind of, like, as you said, it's almost like to get through to the show at that point.
Yeah.
I think it's like, and that's why I think, whereas maybe back in the day, maybe when I was younger, I would just kind of, like, you know, head down, I'm just going to do it anyway. But I think that as you get a little bit older, you do tend to get a little, not so much more reserved, but just a bit smarter in how you kind of, like, what's the point in getting to the show if I can hardly post when my lower back's that bad? You know, you've got to be able to pick and choose this stuff. So, and I know that's kind of getting away from a little bit from what we wanted to talk about, because really, I guess it's the advices, really. So, as far as you getting back to the gym then and everything, I mean, what's your like? What do you? I mean, two questions there, really. What's going to be your advice to people going back? And secondly, what do you think that you're going to do? And have you got any plans training wise, like anything that you've looked at or anything like that at all, which you think would be quite good to do where you're at in the off season now?
Yeah. So for other people, I honestly would just implore people to, at least for that, you know, that first week back, even if you've been training in your garden hard and stuff like that, it's just observe a level of caution when you get, you know, when you back under. Maybe it's a proper squat bar for the first time. Maybe it's your favorite hack. Maybe it's your favorite chest press or whatever. Don't get back after 3 months or 4 months it'll be, and hurt yourself that first session back, because you will be gutted in a real shit place if after all this time you hurt yourself in the first session back. And I think you don't have to train super light or anything like that. You want to expose yourself to the weights. But I mean, even today, second real leg session back, and I really haven't done legs during the lockdown at all. Maybe a couple times, 2-3 times, and then after that I just thought, well, I don't really need to bring my legs up, so it's fine, I can just leave it. And then second session back, I did 160 for 2 today, and that felt heavier than when we were doing 180s. So there is that element if you're having to train yourself. It's called training, and you do have to train yourself to, bring yourself back to a level. So really, just you'll be excited. As I said earlier, it was like the first session at the Hobbit Hole last week. It was like Christmas Eve because I was so excited to go and train there the next day, and I'm sure everyone will feel like that as well. But just observe a little bit of caution. And for me, I even think that I will give it a week or two, certainly before I hit a gym locally to me. I'm sure we'll find ourselves doing squat Sundays as soon as we possibly can. But I'm thinking that week one gyms, it's going to be like January, January on roids. It's just going to be everybody at the same time, And
the stipulations in it of the gym, because they're very much likely will be a point of 20 in at a time, depending on your facility kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's going to be tough to. And you might find yourself queuing outside the gym. You might find yourself being turned away. So I think for me, if it's, I would, I'd say serious trainers who've got a setup at the moment already. If July 4th is the day, maybe it's not your day. Maybe you wait and you just play it by ear and see a little bit, and maybe even speak to your gym. If you're local there and you train there a lot, just get an idea really. So yeah, that's for other people, I think.
Definitely, and I would say that. One thing that we spoke about was writing down a set plan that you want to do and sticking with the plan, and to reduce your volume of what you would normally do. Yeah. Because it's like anything, isn't it? It's like, it's not so much to doing it, it's then to be able to recover and then go back the next time. And I think that most advanced trainers will kind of know this, but the goal at that point is to kind of like not have like your body very, very well rested and then all your niggles come back after getting back to the gym. It really should be something that you set and keep in check.
Well, if this time should have taught people anything, and I think it's definitely taught. Well, it's taught me two things. The injury has taught me exactly what you said a couple of points ago, was as you get a bit older, you learn that, do we really need to pull that weight? Sometimes it's cool and sometimes it's good, and we'll be doing, we'll be squatting heavy and we'll be pressing and deadlifting and all that fun stuff. But at what point does it become, how many more injuries are you away from maybe not being able to do this anymore? So have that in the back of your mind. But also as well is, like you said, follow that plan, take it slowly, and maybe use a plan that allows you to do that. So that'll bring us on to something that I know you enjoy to follow quite a lot, plan you enjoy following, and even stipulates, one of the points it stipulates is start too light. And that would be?
The Wendler 531.
Yeah.
Have you read the book yet?
I've read bits of it, I've not read it all.
It's like a 12-page book, I think.
Yeah.
So if anyone hasn't read the book, go read the book. Not that I'm plugging Jim Wendler stuff, but it's just a very good, if you really want to nerd out on a program, it's a really good one to nerd out on. Because I think sometimes understanding the philosophy of somebody's training is a way that you will remember to adhere to it properly. Because he basically talks about with the 531. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what the 531 program is, we'll briefly touch on it because it's worth mentioning. So it is a percentages-based program. It is it's a 4-day split really, but you could basically do 5 or 6 if you wanted to. But the idea is that the program is realistically either a 3 or 4 day split. You have an overhead press day, you have a squat day, you have a deadlift day, and you have a bench day. Now, basically the way the program works is that you have a week of 5s, a week of 3s, and a week of 5, 3, and 1. Each, if you like, top set of the percentages is what you call an AMRAP, so as many reps as possible. And then you have, off the back of that, percentages each week. You also have what you call big but borings, or boring but bigs, which is 5 sets of 10 at 50% of that maximum exercise. Now, why the program is very, very good, without plugging it all off really, is that the percentages are based on your training max, not your actual max. So if you can bench 100 kilos, your training max becomes 90, which is basically 90%, so it's 90 kilos. So then all your numbers are then calculated off the back of that, which allows for a greater progression. So you almost do the first weeks of the training, how shall we say, thinking like, what on earth? Like, I've just done an AMRAP set of 22 reps. This isn't right. I've definitely gone too light. But it's surprising, it catches up with you very quickly.
Yeah.
But without talking too much about the whole ins and outs of it, why I think it's very good is because what you're able to do is you're able to prioritize, obviously, the 4 basic lifts. Now, I swap out deadlifts for bent over rows and just base the program that way, which is not quite as effective because I guess it's easier to cheat with a bent over row than it is a deadlift. But the one thing that is very good about it is the assistance work, which basically comes below your main lift, if you like. Is exercises are then performed to, 1, obviously gain you some strength, but 2, to allow you to get better at those other movements. So for example, if you're doing overhead press, you actually doing like a lot of close grip chin-ups because your lats would be your stabilizers on the way down of your pressing. You'd be doing hamstrings on deadlift day. You'd be doing abs on deadlift day. So it lets you train things like core, and for me it was like I'm doing more back training because I'm doing an actual back day, but then I'm also doing lots of chins and accessory work with it. But to get back to the point of what we're talking about is that basically you can kind of structure the program how you want to a certain degree. You could just go in there and just do the 5-3-1 lifts, if you like, each week and no assistance work. But you can also then very much bodybuilding bro it out and basically do everything. But the idea is then not to let the volume get out of control, because you could just go, right, I'm going to do this, do a whole shoulder session with a back session, and it becomes a 2-hour workout. So to get back to you really with it, I think what's good is that you're able to, 1, get like some strength back again, especially if you've been training at home. But you're also able to sort of prioritize your assistance work in accordance to where you want to get better. So for example, if your arms are a priority for you, look like Lee Priest then. I think that you could throw arms in easily 2 to 3 days a week on all your pushing days and on your pulling days, and end up just like tagging stuff on the end of something else. Yeah.
Well, it's a couple of things, isn't it? I have started to sort of build my return plan around it anyway, without fully getting into it yet, because I can't deadlift properly and all them kind of fun things. But it's the recovery element that I think is what people are going to benefit from it. And whether you do this or you do anything else, surely people should have learned during this time that you don't need to train as much or as often as, I know we like to train, and we can often get kind of caught into that, can't we? It's like we like going to the gym and stuff like that. But ask yourself how hurt you are that first week back, because I realized that having training so often, I mean, I was doing 7 days on prep, and I like to do that because it's a way of expenditure, a way of getting more expenditure. But I think you kind of just, it masks the fact that you're not recovering. Let's not forget that muscle, the muscle soreness is my muscle needs to recover to grow, and we are all in there for growing muscle. I mean, if you just like to train, then that's great, but if you want to get bigger, you've got to allow it to get bigger. And in my holy grail quest to try and grow arms, I've tried all sorts of things, and I've been trying arm days and multiple arm days and this and that. What I've found has been working nicely is when I've been maybe doing like a pressing workout, a shoulder based workout, the tricep work I do at the end of that, I feel is far more effective than when I do an arm workout, because it's taken me so long to warm up elbows and shoulder joints and all that stuff. The benefit I get from overhead tricep extensions after doing overhead pressing is far, far superior. So using something like this to bring up a weak point, like I know you did in an attempt to kind of make your back stronger, like you just said, you even on a squat day, on a leg day, you were doing back work, so you were getting it stronger and bringing it up. For me, on bench press day, well, I'll be trying to get stronger at bench press, which in turn will help me train my chest, which doesn't need to come up, but my triceps do. So it allows you to hone in on something like that. And so I think this program in particular is very good for that. There's lots of different ones, but yeah, it's certainly what I'll be doing. So.
Because I think what's good about it is, like you say, you can choose your assistance work.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you're on chest day, your assistance work would be something like, for a start, if you're going to do like an incline press, it'll be an incline press, but at a closer grip, basically target more triceps. Dips would definitely factor in there because you could do chest dips, but you've got some tricep work in there as well. So what I mean is that your exercise selection becomes then, okay, right, this is my priority. So therefore, this is how I'm going to put it into my training. I think a lot of people don't do that because they just do the basic stuff. Like if you need to do shoulders, you will just do lateral raises, that kind of stuff. But, you then sometimes, unless you're doing a push-pull split, you are going to be waiting like a full 7 days for it to sort of come back around again. So the benefit to this is the fact that the frequency comes up a lot. And it really is one of them programs that it's a 4-day-a-week program. I would see anyone struggle to do more than that because it is brutally hard in the amount of volume. It
sounds a lot like, as well, it sounds a lot like dog crap training. So Dante Trudell's, which is, I guess, it's very much the push-pull leg sort of thing now, and that kind of, we've joked about push-pull wankers and stuff like that, which is still true, by the way. Bro splits for life, but at the same time doing this kind of reduced load. I know Dusty Hanshaw said a lot that he has given to his clients a dog crap style routine. And they'll come back to him initially and be like, "Oh, I need to go up," because I think it's tiered a little bit like fortitude training. So they'll be like, "Oh, I need to go up onto the next level. I'm not, this isn't hard enough for me." And his reply is like, "You're not doing it right." Because if you go in and do something like this and feel that you need to do more, then the weights aren't heavy enough or the intensity is not there and stuff like that. And I think people will find that easier to get a grasp of, having had this time away. I really, really do, because I think you'll feel it a lot more.
One thing I found with clients recently, I've had like 3 clients come back to me when I've sent them programs, and they're like, "You've got 6 reps here, but I'm getting 15." Well, that's not the designated reps, then, is it? It's like if you've got a program where you need to get 5, 3, and 1. The great thing about the program is that because it's percentage based, you just do them reps and then progressively it gets harder. What I found with like clients, which has been really funny, is like if you're doing 15, then you need to up the load because that's the way the program is designed so that it taxes you 6 reps. You shouldn't be able to get 15 with that. And I think that's like, it's just really something that's funny that stuck out this week. It's just like 3 people are the same thing. I'm like, well, it's not 6 reps then, is it? It's 15.
Well, there you go. And we wanted to getting away maybe from, I don't know if there's much more we can say about how we think people should get back into the gym. It's kind of as it is really, and ultimately, I guess just do what you feel you need to do when you go back. Really, be happy that gyms are back, but proceed with caution. But one of the things that we'd said we wanted to speak about was other styles of training and things like that. But I think you've just mentioned it. Then is when you said intensity. I really think it's something that I think when you grasp and you get an idea of how hard you can train, it's the penny drops quite a lot. So there's been times in my training career, life, whatever, where I've thought that I've trained hard and then I've trained with someone and learned that I don't. And I think a lot of people could do that. I know you mentioned to me before that you've had some, you've maybe had some clients who you've thought, you drop the food and you increase the cardio and stuff like that, and you're thinking still something missing. They're not quite making the progress on a prep, and you've often thought to yourself, is the training hard enough? And that doesn't necessarily mean blasting weight or blasting reps. It's kind of all of it, really, isn't it?
You can just say, like, you get a video back from someone and like they're just like, you're waiting for the set to kind of like get hard, and it doesn't get hard, and then putting the weight down, you're thinking, right, it's like, can you send me the top set? It's like, no, that was. It's like, well, that's why you're not losing any weight then, because it's
that 3 sets of 10, 4 sets of 8. It's like, it's just not, is it? It's when we do legs on Squat Sundays, it's an hour before we do a working set. because we've spent so much time warming up, and we need 3 plates on our back to compress our spine enough to actually have stability. It's only when you get to them. It's when you get to them top end sets, isn't it, that you're doing the work. Then I think. So that's, I think, something that people could learn and maybe try and learn when they get back to the gym is, are you making the most of that time in the gym? Are you really training hard with intensity and with what's the word I'm looking for? With purpose. You're not just going to the gym to do 3 sets of 10 on chest press because that's what you think you need to do to just keep your chest or whatever. Are you progressing and are you training with a purpose? To do that, you need to find that intensity, and that's whichever way it is. And we know that the leg sessions that I'll do with Darren are very different to the leg sessions that I'll do with you, but they're both with intensity. It's just different ways of doing it. I
mean, it's something you were saying before, but about like noticing things from lockdown. I definitely think in the past that I trained too much on prep because obviously prepping this time round, I don't usually train any more than 2 days before I have a day off. So I'm like 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off. And it's been like that for quite a while because I really look forward to the days off. And especially I remember doing the 5-3-1, the very first time I did it, it was great because I was kind of like a medium point with my off season, and I think you need to be at a certain level with your off season before that happens, that you set the program, because if you are coming out of prep and you set your numbers where your strength is, it's all over the shop because your incline in strength is going up so fast that you have to then reset all your numbers. But the thing was, I used to do the double day sessions on prep.
Right.
So Mondays was on its 1 day on its own in the evening. Tuesdays was morning, nights, AM, PM. Wednesdays, AM, PM. Thursdays, AM, PM. And then Fridays, just AM. And Saturday and Sunday would usually be one session. But I would either train maybe 1 day off sometimes. But most of the time it was 7 days a week. And it was a lot of them with double sessions. And I think that because, like you said before, it's because I just wanted movement. I wanted to feel like I'm doing something. But actually, in effect, what I found is that from the way I've been training whilst I've been here, my sessions have been longer, harder, more nutrition around my workouts. But I am going full tilt, and I am having a break every 2 days. And I did that break. Whereas when I was training 7 days, I didn't feel like I needed a break because I just need to go in and just do a bit of abs, or just do a bit of arms, get some blood moving. But actually, I wonder, I guess it will see how actually it is the time I get to the stage of what kind of package I'm bringing, because, will that ever pay any dividends, especially just being able to train in the garden, okay, we've said before, but it's not too far away from a normal training. But, I think for most people's kind of general thought process and feedback is that you'll be lucky to maintain your gains, let alone grow. And I really do think like I've made some solid progression in this last 3 months. So
yeah, and that's going to vary depending on people's setup, isn't it? If you're just training with bands, then probably not.
A great example of that is Pete. He's Pete Garay is still on prep, so shout out to Pete. He always watches the podcast and he always comments on the YouTube as well. So cheers, Pete. So be like Pete and comment on the YouTube.
Like, subscribe, share, and
all that stuff. Just be nice. But why is this sort of a bit of a shout out? I guess really is because he's only been able to train with bands this whole prep.
Wow.
And he looks great. Really does look good each week with the check-ins. I'm thinking like no one will know any different that you haven't been training with weights. So that will be interesting. But mind you, he is cheating because he's like 40 and he's been training like 30 years. So it's cheating. So
yeah. Well, Pete had a bit of a knock as well, didn't he? Because we trained together. Not sure when it was. Much earlier in the year.
I was going to say it was either January or
So it'd be nice to see how that feels when he comes back. Because he's not had the load and stuff like that. Has he been able to recover from it? So shout out to Pete. So I guess without going on too much longer, then whilst we're talking about intensity and recovery and stuff like that, question. Do you think I think I know your answer. Do you think you can overtrain? And do you think that you can eat enough to not overtrain? So do you think you can I don't know how to put this really. Do you think there's an amount of food that you can eat to negate the overtraining, or do you think it's something else? Do you think you can just overtrain?
For me, you know, when you've heard people say like, "Oh, there's no such thing as overtraining because it's just undernourishment," but rubbish from my point of view.
Yeah.
Because I think that definitely, like, it's only really, it's actually just twigged now that you've said it during this podcast, that if I think back to my preps in 2017, that mentality of just wanting to do something every day to keep moving and do less cardio works to a certain point. But if I really look at how my training and stuff has been, can't wait to rest on a Tuesday, you know, like on a Wednesday or Tuesday after I've done 2 really hard days.
Yeah.
Like, it's absolutely great. And then I'm so refreshed for my next day session, or maybe a little bit achy, but I'm like, I really needed that. If I was just to sort of run myself into the ground, then I would say that it depends on your training intensity. So if you are going in and you're just going through the fluff stuff and everything, then it's really hard. Yeah, exactly. It's very, very hard to then try and like actually say like you're overtraining. You'll probably just end up burning out from the fact that you're not taking any rest, so just like mentally, as opposed to actually like, you know, you're picking up niggles and things like that. Because as I said, I think that it's definitely more pump and fluff stuff you do when you train like 7 days.
Yeah.
I think it's only really, I guess, until you kind of listen to like Dorian's mentality of like training 3 or 4 days a week.
Yeah.
I remember that Olympia press conference video, you know, before they used to walk out on stage, I used to flick to them with his big sunken in face and in the Olympia jacket. And he's like, Sean Ray and that, you know, they're training 7 days a week, and, you know, I'm training half the amount of time and I'm growing twice as fast. And it only really sets in because, you know, if you are doing that type of training, there's no way you're training 6 days. No chance. And
I think it takes
levels, you know, no one's really trains like that, do they, really?
Yeah, it takes a good mindset to be able to do that, because it's like I said a minute ago, is we all like to train. And, you know, I think people can also get stuck in that kind of need to train to maintain a certain look and look a certain way and stuff like that. Maybe that's less so competitors and just general people who like to train. But yeah, you know, if your goal is improvements and changing and really lifting heavier weights and growing and all that kind of fun stuff, it's a cliche, but that's done out of the gym, isn't it? You know, it's done in the kitchen. It's not done in the gym. You break it down, and I think John Meadows has a good analogy. It's he considers training as digging a hole, and how deep you dig that hole, you've got to fill it back again. If you dig it too deep, you're not going to be able to fill it back up.
Exactly. And I think that's, you know, it's definitely something to look at, isn't it, for future reference with training and things like that. Because, I mean, one small thing that comes to my head is that, as I mentioned at the start, that I've been on high days the last 2 days. Now, my high day back in 2017 used to be, let's say, 600 or so grams of carbs on a Saturday, but we would train legs for 2 hours on that Saturday. So that then there for me is that actually my meals then started a bit later after having the first one, then having like a 2-hour break, and then trying then to get those meals in after that time. So my calorie output was then like, you know, a big 2-hour leg workout. Whereas now on my high days, I'm not doing anything. I literally try and do like just 10,000 steps and not really do much more. So I've got a little bit of output to kind of keep my appetite up, which is a walk in the morning pretty much. And then I literally try to sit on the PlayStation or Netflix or just do very little apart from walk to the kitchen and back to cook my food and really actually rest. And it's like, I enjoy them so much more. Yeah. You know, to actually have a full day off of actually just rested. And like, it really does take me like half a day to recover from like some of the low days. But Sunday mornings I get up for J Sundays and I'm buzzing. Like, I can't wait to train. It's great.
I get a weekly text now when I wake up on Sunday morning. It's the picture of the breakfast and ripped to shreds or all access or whatever it is, and just sense the excitement. So yeah, J Sundays.
Very good. I haven't actually watched your all access one before, which I watched today.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm pretty gutted about. They never did one for 2009.
I know.
It's absolute heart wrencher at the end where it's like, I've given him the show. So this is when Jay Cutler was beat in 08. Yeah. So obviously, like he's like, I've given him the show, and he's like, at the end he's like, I don't know whether I'll be back next year or not. It's obviously just after it's happened.
Yeah.
And then like the next video that's on YouTube you can find is like training at 5 weeks out. But I would love to see the mentality and what he did to then like regroup and go like, I'm gonna smash this out of the park. Like I would have loved to have seen a documentary on that. It would have been wicked. So
a lot of actually on that bodybuilding and bollocks, Jay and Sergio both mentioned Jay as being one of the most inspirational. The bodybuilders that provided them the most inspiration, both for different reasons. Sergio even turned around and said, "I wouldn't want to look like Jay," but it's his mentality, and he tells a story about how he goes on about such a story about his dad, Sergio, I believe he's senior, so watch the podcast because it's good. But then he mentions how he went backstage. Jay was being sick because of bad fish. And then, but then like walks out on stage and he's just getting the crowd up, and you wouldn't even know that he was sick. And then comes back and he collapses and he's being starts being sick again.
Yeah.
Well, I'm mentioning it because it's just. I think he would be one of my most inspirational. I think just because of that mindset and that being second forever, and then being second to one of the best bodybuilders of all time, Ronnie. You know,
he's like two different people now, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like the competitor of Jay Cutler to then like now like the funny like jokey walking with Jay type guy. Like to be in that kind of like that's where I think you see when like someone's on a diet to when someone's not on a diet.
Yeah.
Like it's that. I mean, I know we all talk about it. Like, I mean, the best example for me is like Delroy. Like he's just like
different person.
Right, and kind of, and then like coming to the gym and like off season, and he's like, he's like that Friday song where the guy jumps out the car and does all the dancing. That's what he's like when he's off prep, basically. Yeah, full of beans. So, so I said that we'd when we do a Saved by the Dumbbell, we'll have Delroy on because he is a bodybuilding fan to be our Sid for us.
What was that?
To be our Sid from.
Yes, Sid Faruqi. Yeah.
Whatever. So yeah, Sid Faruqi. Sorry.
Perhaps we can have if we can find another real OG bodybuilding fan that will really be able to know things that only a geeky bodybuilding fan would know, like me, you, Delroy.
But it's just bodybuilding. So
good.
Oh yeah, so good stuff.
All right, so happy then. I think we covered a good few bits there.
1 minute 23. I think we'll be happy with that.
Yeah, a few segues onto training as well, because like I said, I think there's only limited stuff we can talk about getting back to the gym because we've never really been in this situation before, but it is very similar to prep. But I think it's nice to touch on underlying when we talk about intensity, when we talk about training methods and all these things, recovery, is use this now as a real good like reset, like start again. You'll feel a lot like you're starting again at times. You'll feel like you've never lifted before. So, depending on what you've been doing, if you Pete with his bands, and I'm sure when we get him in for a leg session, we start putting a barbell on his back, he'll feel it. Or if you're Chris Edge, who has had the Hobbit hole, so, it really will not be much different at all. It will be different for everybody.
I will wonder if what it is going to feel like actually going back into the gym with a bench that isn't like 2 foot taller than I need to be off the floor. With like a bench that doesn't wobble and creak when I'm doing dumbbell press or worried about collapsing, because I've said like everything feels that much heavier at home.
Yeah.
I wonder if I'm suddenly going to get an increase in strength going back to the gym, or if this is just the new normal, as they say. So this is normal, your stupid strength, and
it's just not strong, unlucky.
Not strong anymore. So like I did dumbbell presses today with 32s and it was heavy. I was like, what the fuck? Like a 32s, I lapped to. If someone said this, I said this to Lewis. If someone said to me in January, you are going to be training in your back garden,
32s,
or June or July or whatever, and you are only going to be able to do a set of 12 shoulder presses with 32 and then a set of 10, then you're going to fail at 6 with 32 kilos, I would have laughed. I'd have gone, there's no chance, not in a million years. And lo and behold, it happened this week. So I was like, 6?
Just disclaimer to anyone that lifts 32s as their top set, get stronger and stop being a massive.
Exactly. I was like, what is going on? But I'm also not strong enough to get the 55s up on shoulders by myself, I don't think.
That's a lot, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to use the excuse because I have pressed them in the gym before, but that bench, it's like, if I can describe it, it's like you sitting on a high chair.
Right.
Or
yeah.
normal size chair for you where your legs dangling off the floor.
Like right now, yeah. On my kitchen chair. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like you can't get any purchase from the floor. So it's like I'm hoping that when I go back and use these nice little hammer strength benches that are, 1 foot off the floor, I can get a nice little archy position. That'll be better. But we will Lee Priest again. So jokes. So yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. Very good.
Sweet. All right. Thank you, everybody. Natty Muscle Radio.
There's always another level.